Welcome to another S&P 500 weekly analysis. Today is October 5th, 2025. Here we are looking at the SPX, the cash index of the S&P 500. As you can see, it made a new all-time high on Friday and only to fade it and close near unchanged for the day. But for the week, it's basically been on an upward trajectory and it's been holding up these levels here. So for the coming week, will we see a continuation of upward price movement and make a new all-time high? And that's what we're going to take a look at on the SPY and also looking at the QQQ. And now this week, I'm not going to cover the E-mini S&P 500 futures or the E-mini NASDAQ 100 future. I will refer you to my newsletter, and if you're interested in looking at those levels, then go and check out my newsletter that I publish a daily trade plan that highlight the individual trade level to look for the coming session. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover the SPY, the QQQ, and we also are going to look at crude oil and gold, and possibly maybe if we have time, look at the dollar. Now, before we go and take a look at the SPY, let's quickly just see what the market is pricing in for the SPX for the coming week. It is pricing in the upper range of 6,800 and also 6791.80. For the lower range is pricing in between 6639.70 and 6595. So basically, we're looking for the possibility of breaking to the all-time high and push up into the 6,800 level if it could break above the all-time high. Now, if it doesn't, then we're basically looking for a pullback down to this 6,600 level at this lower range of the lower expected move. Let's take a look at SPY over here. See this, there is this high volume balance area, and also there is a little bit of a developing balance area here. Now, if I put up the zone on this balance area, on these two balance area, we see there are quite a few of these high volume nodes. You see these, right here, this high volume area. Now, if you are not familiar with volume profile, these high volume nodes indicate that at these price level here, there are high level of trading activity here because there's a lot of volume have been transacted here. Similarly for here and as well as here. And you can see on Friday when we got up to near that all-time high, it had a little bit of a volume building up here. And when we see these high volume area, we're basically saying these are acceptance. These are the level, the price level where the trader, between the buyer and the seller have agreed that it is a fair price to transact business. The seller considers a fair price to sell, and the buyer considers a fair price to buy. So that's why you got a lot of transaction between the seller and the buyers, and that's what we call acceptance. Now, when we get to the low volume area, that's what we call the rejection. That's where hardly any transaction is taking place. Either there's a lack of willing seller or lack of willing buyer at those price level that willing to transact business. Because you take two parties, you need a buyer and a seller in order to make the trade. So when you lack one of them, then you will not have the ability to make that transaction either to buy or to sell. Okay, so basically we are looking at all these high volume node or the high volume zone here. In the coming week, we are looking for the price to come up to a new all-time high. And most likely we probably will encounter some resistance here because we got high liquidity here that we have willing buyer and seller there that need to conduct their business. And until one side, either the buyer or the seller, has been exhausted, then the price will either move up. If there's a lack of seller, then if we still have buyers there, then the buyer basically have to increase the bid or raise the bid to try to find willing seller. But if there are more seller and the buyer have exhausted, then the seller that need to want to sell, they have to lower their asking price then to attract willing buyer to buy the share from them or buy whatever they're selling. Okay, so in this case we're talking about the SPY. So here are the prices for us to consider in the coming week, because this is what the market is pricing in the market is pricing in the upper range at 678.30 and 677, and it is pricing in a lower range between 661.40 and 657. So for the coming week, we're basically looking for the price to see would it be able to come up and break this resistance into the all-time high and move up into the upper range of the expected move. Now, if it is unable to get up above the all-time high or this resistance area, then we're basically looking for the price to come back down and see would it be able to find support here at this high volume node and see if the price be able to bounce back. If it does, we're also going to be look at this, support turn into resistance to see is there a resistance here and push the price back down. So essentially what we are looking at, once the price breaks this 669 area, then we're basically looking for potential downside movement of the price and looking for these high volume nodes to see would it be able to provide any sort of support to get a bounce back up. And that's how we're going to find where that potential support is, because we have no idea, right? Is there still buyers here at these high volume node here? Which one of these buyers? Now it might not, and it might just go all the way to the lower range of the expected move and come down into this low volume area, right? Before we see a rejection, that means there are lack of seller down here. Then the buyer, any sort of willing buyer want to buy down here, they basically have to increase the bid. All right, so that's basically what we're looking at for the SPY in the coming week. See if we could break back above this 669 or break below it, and we'd be looking for the possibility of tracing down. Now, in addition to that, look at this. You got this potential trend line for possible support here. And also we have this 3035 SMA cloud that is also could potentially provide some sort of support. And looking at the QQQ, we also see there's a high volume balance area here, and this is one of the high volume node that we expect to come down and test for support here. And this is somewhere in the range of 598 and 597. So what we are looking for is if any kind of pullback, if it dipped below the 603, this high volume node here, then we're basically looking for this Tesla support down here at this 598, 597 zone to see would it be able to get a bounce back up. And if it doesn't, then we're basically looking for the price to continue to move down to this low volume node here near 588 to see would it be able to find support, because we're also looking at this 3035 moving average cloud. Now here's what the market is pricing in for the coming week, and the upper range is between 613 and 612.10, and the lower range is 594.20 and 589. Area that we'd be paying attention to is right here near this 603. If it could break to all-time high, then we'll look at these upper range. But if it is unable to break to and dip below 603, then we're basically looking for the possibility of chopping around here and then move down to this 589 area. Let's take a look at crude oil. Recently, I believe yesterday or day before, we got news from OPEC or OPEC Plus now that they have decided to increase the daily oil production. So I think the market might be interpreting that to be bearish, because they basically increasing the supply, and we could possibly see oil might come down a bit. But I wouldn't be going to that far yet on the bearish side until we see what the dollar going to do in the near term. So, and we'll take a look at the dollar later on. So let's take a look at the crude oil right now. So we've been seeing crude oil been pretty much inside of this high volume area here, been basically chopping around. And that is between somewhere around the $60 and the $68 level. Now, right now, you see there's a high volume node here somewhere at the 63 area. So, and we see that the price is actually below this high volume node. And that tells me there are more sellers on this side, of the high volume node than buyers. Because if there are more buyers looking to buy crude oil, then basically they have to increase their bid, and that would push the price on the other side of this high volume node. So right now we still got seller that are looking for buyer to sell to. So we could see the price to continue to be a little bit lower. Now let's switch over and take a look at the daily price. So here on the daily price chart here for crude oil, we see that right now it's at this range, at the lower edge of this range here. Now, if we see the price of oil dip below this range and come down to this little bit of a volume dent, and that would be somewhere around this 59.5 and $59 level. I'd be watching for a possibility of a bounce and see would it get back inside of this high volume zone here. If it could get back into this balance area, then I wouldn't be surprised to see oil try to move its way back up for this this $68 level here. Now, if it come down and break this volume, then we could look for the price to possibly come down here at this 55, 56 area, and might be even down at this 54 level. So, but the key thing to watch right now is this level here at the $60 area. If it breaks the 60, we want to see would it be able to find support here and get a bounce at this 59. And so basically, here's what the price action is. Right? If it breaks, then we're basically looking for the possibility of oil come back up to the 68 if we see this type of price action. Now let's take a look at gold. We see this gold ever since that it broke this balance area here down near the 35.30 area. It's been basically one time framing up, 6 consecutive week now, and right now it's near that all-time high. It made an all-time high last week, and we switch down to the daily price level, and we could see that right now it's still hovering up at this balance area here, this upper portion balance area, and it is above this high volume node. So that tells us that there are more buyer than seller up here. So we could continue to see price of gold move higher. And if we do a little bit of a projection on a major move, and we just do a 1x extension on this range here, and we could see gold possibly come up to this 3,980 close to $4,000 an ounce. So that's one of the possibility of potential upside for the coming week, is look for this 3,980 to $4,000. I would say for gold on the upside. Now, if gold will decide to pull back, then we'll basically be watching this low volume node here somewhere around 30x69, 30x70 area. And if dip back below this low volume node, then we could see it possibly come down and test this area here at 38.37 and 38.27 area. So getting back into this 8 and 21 EMA cloud here for potential test. All right, so that's basically the near-term look for gold upside, possibly 39.80 to 4,000, and the pullback look for 38.40 and 38.25 area for potential pullback level of support. All right, let's take a look at the dollar, the US dollar here. This is the DX, so this is the future on the dollar here. You see this on the weekly price here. We see this, it's been spending in this range between 96 and 109, 110 for the last few years. Since if we start over here, say since early 2022 to the present, basically fluctuating between this 96 and 109, 110 area. Now, recently, during the January 2025, it was up here at this 108, 109 area, and now it came all the way back down to the bottom of this multi-year range at this 96 level, and it appeared that might have found a little bit of support recently and start bouncing back up. And if we take a closer look on the daily chart here, we can see that it's been ranging between this 98 area, 98 and a half, 98 or so, and this 96. Now, also recently it came down here and found a little bit of an intermediate support here, somewhere around this 96, 80, 97. You see that there's been a few times that it found some intermediate support and come back up to this 98. So right now, we're basically watching the dollar. The dollar is not doing much. We're going to see would it be able to break above this 98. Then we will look for the dollar to come up to this, 99, 99 and a half or so. But if it is unable to break this zone here or this range here, then we're basically looking for the dollar to come back down to this 96 area. Then you'll see would it be able to find some support, this 96.70 area, to see would it be able to find some support and come back up and try to break this multi-month range once again to see could it push through into the 99, 99 and a half or so. But for now, basically the dollar is pretty much neutral, sitting right here at this 97 and a half. So we're just going to be wait and see what the dollar going to do. If it may move up above the 98, then we could see the dollar possibly move back up to this 99 area. But if it is unable to move up above the 98, we're going to be watching for another move down to this 96 and a half and possibly even move back down to this 96. That's basically the price action scenario for the S&P 500, the dollar, gold, and the crude oil. If you want to see additional contents from me, be sure to go check out my newsletter, The Pulse of the Market, a Substack, and the link is in the description below. Thank you for watching and good luck on your trading. Thank you for watching. If you like the content, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to this channel, click the subscribe icon to subscribe and help support this channel. Now, for more content from me, go visit my newsletter at smtraderCA.substack.com. You will find trade ideas, daily trade plans, weekly market review and analysis, trading tutorial and strategies, and much more in my newsletter, The Pulse of the Market. And the link is smtraderCA.substack.com.